Did the nice lady talk to you too and give you the instructions for the podcast?
No, I just got very soothing music.
Oh no, I got a very nice lady telling me that I'm about to engage in a podcast, and if I'm uncomfortable, I should hang up right now.
That is not the way I wanted to start off this podcast. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Independent Podcast. I'm here with my, I guess, co-host at this point, Kaos. Say hello.
Hello to the nice people, and how's everybody this evening? If afternoon, good morning, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
Ring the fucking bell. What are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Okay, well, while I'm struggling over here to, maintain my artistry, since on the topic of pro wrestling, because that's why the people came here. They came to hear two people who have no fucking idea what they're talking about, rattle on about things they don't know about. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Friends, fans, listeners, my dear listener, I want to tell you all about an experience that I had just recently. Something in pro wrestling, it's harder and harder these days to find new experiences. You've seen it. You've seen the pinfall victory. You've seen the dusty finish. Very little surprises us anymore. Why do we stick around? No fucking clue. But I did something brand new, something that I'd never done before, something I'd wanted to do for many years. And I attended I think it was the 53rd annual Cauliflower Alley Club reunion over there in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it was a very interesting time. And I'm open to questions if there any arise on your end. But I want to say that this is something I've always wanted to do, because if you don't know, the Cauliflower Alley Club is I'm not going to call them a fantastic organization, but an organization of people who intend to do well, a bunch of former wrestlers and well-wishers, and they're essentially a charity organization. And to break it down really simply, they are the people that if you're an old worker, you're an old wrestler, and you can't wrestle anymore, and you weren't a fucking prick to everybody, and you people know who I'm talking about, then they're going to reach out and try and help you with work or whatever. For those guys who can't take bumps anymore, help them do well. I know they've helped out, to drop names, Jake the Snake Roberts during, his troubles, and a number of other people who I won't name just now. But I got to go to this thing. I got to head out to the fabulous, and I'm using that term very loosely, fabulous like the Thunderbirds, in that I mean overweight and hairy, but the fabulous Gold Coast Casino in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was a real good time. I got to tell you, drove up there on a Sunday, which I got to tell you, being here in Southern California, having a chance to drive up to Nevada on a Sunday and seeing all of the traffic going back in the other direction, motherfuckers. Now you know what my life is like every single day. It was nice to see the traffic going in the opposing direction. Wide open for me getting into Nevada. Got down there. Now I got to experience two, I was going to say great, but I'll say competent nights of independent professional wrestling there at the Nevada Ballroom in the Gold Coast. And had a pretty good time. If I could walk you through, I'll try and get through it as quickly as I possibly can, because it's probably largely boring to someone who was not me. So made the drive up Sunday, got there on Sunday, loaded in, and went to the first night show. Now, mind you, the first two nights of the convention or reunion is two shows back to back. They are a joint promotion of Big Valley Wrestling, Alpha Omega Wrestling, I think, Adrenaline Unleashed Pro Wrestling, and a lot of the Central California, Southern Nevada, and Southern Utah promotions.
So, question, real quick.
Answer.
So, this is not Las Vegas, Nevada, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, was Future Stars of Wrestling ever?
I know that they were involved somehow, but it was not their ring, and I'm not familiar with their personnel because they seem to be quite what they claim to be, where it's sort of a transitional place. I don't want to cast aspersions or anything, but I understand that some people were there, but I couldn't pick them out by face or by name.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you kindly. And I got to enjoy night one, a pretty decent night of pro wrestling. Got to see got to see some ladies out there wrestling, and all the women, they dress like whores on the independent scene. Because, and let's face it, it's because, I don't know, they didn't get enough attention in high school, and so they need to hike their tights up their ass or something. I have photos to prove this. I really do. I'm not going to name names, but one girl who was there, in her social media presentation versus seeing her live in person performing, she is definitely a beneficiary of the power of angles and photography. So not quite what I expected, kind of like a date meetup on plentyoffish.com or something like that.
Oh God.
But
God,
if you get my vibe.
The references.
One thing that I thought was really interesting was to see an indie. It wasn't really an indie show because, there's the old timers are there and a really mixed audience. Young kids, not as much, but still some. A lot of the wrestlers' friends and spouses, obviously. A lot of old timers. A lot of old time wrestlers that I recognize. Guys that maybe not were tremendous successes, but a few faces I recognize. It was not your typical indie audience. And by that I mean, every time you get these jack-offs to get the fucking chants going, which makes it look like,
the typical clap.
It's you know what I'm talking about, this comic book convention bullshit, these really simple. It's like going to a cheer off, something's awesome, and it's fucking annoying, and I hate it.
My biggest pet peeve is two things as far as what you just mentioned. The start either I've seen people in a headlock or in a hold do. Yeah, come on, guys. Rile me up. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. He's not cutting off your air supply or anything.
And then, middle of the match. I understand if. Let me reiterate. I understand if you do it once, right, in the start of the match, dead crowd, gotcha. But if every match fucking does it, it gets fucking annoying, and it's pissing me off.
Well, that has to do with the lack of a strong booker in any particular territory, because that means that people are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
And there was quite a bit of this on this particular show. Not as much as I expected, which was nice. And again, just a real interesting mix of talent on the show. But one thing I noticed, this was not all the typical indie wrestling tricks, the clapping and the this is awesome, didn't work. And that, while it to the untrained ear and the untrained eye would appear to be a dead crowd, this was they popped for the exciting things. They didn't pop for the chain wrestling, which they're not supposed to. That's something I always find funny, is when you get these long wrestling chains that only fucking wrestling fans are following, and then you got 9 guys in the front who paid extra to sit in the front like fucking marks they are and applaud fucking hammerlocks. Like, I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong. I love a good hammerlock. Okay. But I'm going to pop for a fucking, tall hip toss before I'm going to go for all of that bullshit. Even though I know what it is. Yeah. But it was very refreshing.
Every crowd is not an ECW crowd. I got you.
Oh, well, ECW, they're just chanting for concussions. I always find it funny when people want to work that style. Like, they're hoping you'll really get hurt. That's what they're after. It's like you're trying to satiate bloodlust, but that's something else. In any event, it was very, very refreshing to not be amongst that kind of audience. One thing I did notice, though, and Rob, if you want to help me out with this, and if from your experience, because one thing I've noticed is I thought that this stuff would vary from town to town, but apparently not. All the same indie wrestling stupid shit goes on coast to coast, which is remarkable. I have to say that's quite remarkable. Goes to show that humans don't have that much emotional latitude or longitude. But you still get it was good or evil. But it was very refreshing. One thing I noticed, though, is there were some kids behind me. Now, I am an announcing stickler. Did you know that about me?
I kind of could pick it up.
Did you gather that? Yeah, because when people require accuracy, they call me in and I stickle. That's what I do. I'm a stickling kind of person. And so I'm of the mind that if you are going to tell your friends about pro wrestling and talk about pro wrestling, you should know what the moves are called. Okay? Because I've noticed that in the last, 15 years, anytime someone gets a lock underneath the chin, oh, it's a stunner. Everything is a stunner. Every last goddamn thing. He told me about this one. There's this one kid wrestling, and I can't remember his name. I just remember that he had tits.
Jesus.
Like he wasn't a fat kid or anything.
Simon Gotch?
No, sir. No. He was from Big Valley Pro Wrestling, so I can't remember his name. But the kid, but he like, I can tell he wanted to have pectoral muscles, but they were tits, you know, and they were kind of pointy, you know. And it didn't do it for me. I guess that's what I'm getting at, is I was not turned on, so therefore this match was the shits. Yeah.
Hey, Kaos. The entire chat is nicknaming you the Stickler now. So
well, that's right. I am a pro wrestling stickler, and that's why I stickle and so on.
Yeah, it's your new name.
But anyway, apparently this cat has this move where he does over the top rope. So every single time he goes over the top rope. From the outside of the apron into the ring, over the top rope, does a somersault into a stunner. That's what I'm hearing from these two fat kids who are behind me. And now, mind you, I can tell that they watch these guys wrestle a lot because they have their chants. Like there's a manager there, and he calls himself Toom Gucci. I want to say.
What the?
Yeah. Okay. And these kids back here are, I assume, taunting him. Now they used to taunt Bobby Heenan by saying "weasel" and things, but they're just repeating his name over and again. Gucci. Gucci, like every 7 seconds, and these guys are like 2 chairs over. Gucci, and now mind you, we're in a ballroom, so I can hear it in the back. Gucci, you know, it's all over the fucking place.
Oh my god!
But I hear them talking about this. I see the move in question. Like I was able to pick out the spot. Like, okay, here it comes, and I see him come over the top, and he does the somersault and catches the dude's chin and comes down on his shoulder. And I'm like, that's not a stunner, that's a gourd buster. And I swing over and I says,
of course, the stickler himself.
Sure. And I swing over and I say, that's not a stunner, that's a gourd buster. And these guys stared at me like there was raw sewage pouring from my face. Like, you're a stranger. You're talking, and I don't know what to do. And I tried to engage them because I thought that's what pro wrestling fans like to do. I thought they like to talk about wrestling. But apparently they just want to be smart asses with their friends and then go turn on the faucets and leave them on in the bathroom and push each other into the bushes. Apparently that's what they want to do. And so I'm sitting through all of this. And then, you know, some of the guys who wrestled down here in California, I got to see them. Sin Bodie was one of the guys who wrestled that night. Another guy,
one of the craziest dudes I've ever
met in my
entire life.
As an aside, Sin Bodie, I almost bumped into him in the pisser, actually. And want to talk about? I mean, this was. That's why I didn't go and try and shake his hand and say all these things. That's the worst fucking possible time to bring up anything.
Adolf Hitler, what a legend, man! Adolf Hitler, part of his promotion,
but
probably the best shit I've ever seen in life.
It's not going to draw big dollars, but I mean, if I ever get a chance to talk to him, and I hope I do, I want to tell him I think he's something that's really good for business because he's something different. And if he can sell a bunch of T-shirts, good for him. I don't think they're going to have him in NXT or on the WWF anytime soon. In fact, I think he's kind of an older guy. I think he might be an older guy. I think he's in his mid-30s by now. Yeah.
Quoting you by that. I'm going to quote that. But
yeah. But
Sin Bodie, best for business, ladies and gentlemen.
You know,
Jim Cornette, you know nothing. Sin Bodie is the savior of professionals.
He could very well be. You know, he's got a lot of ideas. He's making it weird, and you know, he drops the elbow, the weird elbow, on the people, and they seem to go for it. But and then another guy who wrestled down here, Judiz, who wrestles around here, did some work, and it was nice to see those guys, and it was really cool. And then the next day I woke up because I'm in the desert. I feel like shit. So I got to kind of snap out of it and went about my day, and got to see the mall over there in Las Vegas. And I was shocked to see a mall with people in it. This was genuinely shocking to me. So
really?
Yeah, folks. And they were walking, and some of them had bags, and they were eating shit. It was like, I felt like I went in a time machine back to a bygone era. You know, it was interesting. Anyway.
What you mean? You mean early 2000s?
Oh,
where
even further
everyone
back than that. I mean, there were people, and they looked happy, which is
they looked happy.
They were happy to be throwing away their fucking money. You know, them and their distressed jeans. They were having a wonderful time.
Were they wearing like old jeans, like jeans?
No. They were no. What they did is they went to the store. Somebody bought some jeans and tore holes in them, and then sold them for $100. And these fucking marks bought them.
That's fucking amazing.
It's fantastic. They were in the windows and everything.
Thank you for telling me this. Now I can make fucking $100.
You could. In fact, pro wrestlers, if you want a gimmick that's going to sell some money, distressed jeans will fucking do it. And if they don't sell, hang on to them. In about 15 years, they'll sell again, because the distressed jean thing has come around quite a few times. Anyway, so after all of that, I was late to the matches to get for the second night. And I jam all the way up there, and I'm staying in the hotel, and I'm still late. And I run my ass in there and get in the back. And I came in through the back door because somebody there told me, you know, you go in through the back door and you can get in early. It didn't matter anyway. But I'm watching the matches, and over my shoulder, I hear some people. And they're telling me that the title matches that they have on these cards, because they're largely an exhibition showing, the titles never change hands. And I naturally, anytime you go to a show, like, for instance, Robert, I'm sure you've seen this, a wrestling show for someone's birthday. They have this now to where. Oh no! Do they have that in Florida?
That's the funny thing is real quick. I'm not going to say the promotion because I'm working with them, but they're opening.
You're not going to bury the bosses.
But yeah, no. But they're doing a wrestling summer camp for ages 6 to 15.
Okay, so get dropped on your head before your brain's finished developing. I like it.
I love it, man.
You know, this is going to be a whole brand new age of workers. You're going to have these guys setting themselves on fire on a scaffold, and they're going to make $6 to do it.
I've seen 2 whales get married in a ring. If that makes any sense. If you're picking up.
Are you talking about the guy that, like, with Candice LeRae and the grabbing his dick, or is that a different something?
No. So basically, down here in good old Florida, where we can make money out of literally anything, 2 fans rented a ring, which is at the place I used to train at, and they got married in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Now, as an aside, we'll finish up the Cauliflower Alley Club in a second. How many rings does the promotion have? Just the one?
Just one.
Just the one. So this is the ring that everyone trains in?
The trains.
This is the show that they have the wrestling shows in?
Same ring.
This is the ring that they have the backyard shows in?
Yeah. Don't ask me, man, because listen, I'm not going to say promotion, but their moving truck where they have all the supplies for the ring and stuff like that. The roof is torn off.
That's natural. Don't. You know, that's very typical. As a matter of fact, that's a pretty rich promotion if you think about it.
And like, it's the same ring. Training, working, marriages, live orgies. Who knows?
Yeah,
like,
That's the funny thing.
Those
people looked at that ring where a bunch of sweaty men have been putting their butts and their balls and rolling around and getting their armpits all over it. And people said, I want to be married there.
I want all their bodily fluids.
I want all of that. I want to wear my nice shoes and don't forget, people get color and bleed all over that mat too. So nothing says I love you quite like bodily fluids.
The best part is he. Oh man, this just makes me try to find my will to live whenever I tell this. This guy, as soon as the beautiful kiss happened, took a bump. Didn't even know how to take a bump. He just took one, and
concussion.
I wish. I really wish. It took him about 6 minutes to get up, but he did it. Did his first bump, I guess.
Clearly.
Never saw him again.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I heard they got divorced, which is fucking hilarious.
Well, did they get divorced in an octagon? Because that would have made the whole package.
Oh my God. No, just imagine fucking, they got, like, you see the judge, you are now officially divorced. Just the wife just haymakers the fat dude. It would be great.
I mean, it's like, what is your evidence for a divorce? And then just show them the pictures of them getting married in a fucking wrestling ring. It's like, case dismissed. Get the fuck out of my sight. You're going to pay child support. We don't have any children. I don't give a shit. You are going to pay for this, mister. Get married in a wrestling
ladies
ring.
And gentlemen, the new stipulation for the newest indie promotion. Whoever wins does not have to pay child support.
Oh, yes. Man, that sounds like
child support on a pole match.
That sounds like an Impact angle. You should get a job there,
dude. Man, I'm waiting.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for them to call.
I know. Well, I mean, they called Vince Russo like 2 or 3 times, so you've got at least a shot.
Oh my God!
But anyway,
and the funny thing is, go ahead.
Yeah. But back to Las Vegas. Meanwhile, in Las Vegas, I make it into the show, and I'm again seeing different people this time. So it's some more old timers. People are finally coming in for the thing, and so the second night was different than the first night. Different people, even though people are still hoarse from the night before, and. Again, I had been overhearing that the titles didn't change hands on these shows, just for obvious reasons, to not complicate booking, which totally makes sense. And they had a match for, I have it in front of me, but I don't want to name names. I don't want to bury anybody, make somebody look like shit. And I'm not going to name the promotion or the belt, but it was a very silly sounding belt, first and foremost. I want that to be made clear. So no matter what happened to this belt, my feelings were not really going to be hurt.
The supercharged triple threat tag team intergender world heavyweight
something
title.
Like that. But they were 2 blokes, 2 fellas were wrestling this out. Imagine that, a wrestling match involving 2 people of the same sex. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like almost like a goddamn sport or something. So the match is going on, and the match it's kind of the shits. Because you've got this kid who is like, he's just bouncing like, he's bumping like a fucking pinball. He's over here, he's over there, bing, bang, bong, ping, ping, pong. And then there's this guy who's wearing this, he's got tights on. He's got his outfit. He's got the long pants outfit with the singlet top, the Bret Hart deal. But he looks you ever seen a ballpoint pen with a big bulge in the middle because it was in a hot car or something? That's what he looks like. He just got a big bulge in the middle. So those tights probably fit him really well about 30 pounds ago. And then he got married and had a kid and has been eating graham crackers for the last 9 months.
Wow.
So now he looks like that.
So it's basically like, I feel like it's a worn out vet that's trying to regain his good years. I think
he was a guy who was probably indie hot shit in his promotion like 3 or 4 years ago. And then they just drug him back. But picture Jim Neidhart wearing Bret Hart's outfit.
Oh.
See, it's like close but no cigar. In any event, so I'm watching all of this, and the skinnier guy who's bumping all over the place and just getting this shit knocked out of him. Mind you, this is the champion. I'm supposed to respect this guy, but he's getting bumped around and thrown around and going over here and going over there and going out to the floor. And just, it looks like hell. Because clearly they sat and they plotted this whole thing out and, wrote it down, regardless of what the people were cheering for, because no one was popping for any of this. This kid goes off the top rope, throws a missile drop kick from the top rope, and completely misses his target and lands right on the forearm. And apparently snapped the forearm in 2.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so wait. So did he land... Which type of drop kick are we talking about? The Daniel Bryan where he just takes a back bump?
No. I get the idea that this was supposed to be the 2-footed missile drop kick to where when you hit your opponent in the shoulder, they're going to absorb a lot of the energy, and then you can take a back bump and neatly land on your butt. That's not what happened here. He got turned around like a corkscrew and landed on his face right on his right or his left forearm. So his rib cage and everything landed directly on his left forearm. And he's not a muscular dude. He's a kind of a skinny fella. So how he got to be the champ in the first place, I don't know.
1, 3.
But he begins to
1, 2, 3.
Because he's not getting up. I'm like, immediately I know something's wrong because this guy's been getting up way too fast the whole match. He's taking the bump and then getting right back to his feet. and now he's not getting up. And he's starting to wail a little bit. Kind of the, oh no, which I've heard kids get hurt skateboarding, and they make that same sound. They make that very same sound.
Oh. And
he's, oh no, and all this stuff. And he's like, and I can hear him wailing to the referee, like the referee's an official. He's like, it's broken. It's broke. I can't. He can't even form a sentence. He's starting to freak. So they bring the house doc in, and everyone, they throw the double arm X, which means legitimate injury. For those of you who don't know, hopefully you've never had to see that in a wrestling show. When you've seen that. Okay, so legitimate injury, which means that you have people.
Funny. Yeah. No.
Which means you have people doing things that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is about that, not to cut you off, but the funny thing is about that a couple weeks ago at the very same Miami promotion, that happened, and I won their I guess I won their battle royal. It was like their first inaugural, and it was an intergender battle royal, and one of the women, I did a crossbody, 265, 200 and whatever pounds, catch me. They turn around, drop kick by the woman. And the woman was like, "Oh, to my stomach, I'll be fine." And I'm like, "Are you sure? I'd prefer you to land on your back because it's much safer." She's like, "No, I got it." And keep in mind, this woman's maybe like 120 at the most. So you got me. I'm about 160, 157, 265. 258-pound men carrying me, and then this small girl drop kicking, and they're supposed to fall down, and I cross-body them, essentially. So basically, just imagine this girl drop kicking a brick wall and just fucking ricocheting off the brick wall.
Naturally.
And this girl knocks herself clean, and I didn't see it. I had no idea because I was falling down with the dudes. So I walk over, and we're about to do this spot, and she's just ragdolling. Keep picking her up, and I check. Luckily, my two aunts are one's a doctor and one's a nurse. So I check her pulse. All right, her heartbeat's very slow. I check her neck; it's swelling. So I look over at the referees to see if they know what the fuck's going on, and they're just sitting there like everything's going all right. And I'm just picking up this fucking ragdoll woman. She's down, and just like, what the? I put up the X, and they're like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" She is ragdoll. This girl's like 23, 24. She's ragdolling. I'm checking her pulse, and I'm looking at the referees, thinking that they know what they're doing. No, I had to put up the X for them. Fuck. And go ahead, but it just really pisses me off when someone's in a referee position. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Good referees.
A lot of the referees do that begrudgingly because they thought they were going to be a fucking pro wrestler, and then some promoter told them otherwise, and now they just accept that lot in life. But never mind. Let's not worry about their psychosis.
Oh my god.
So
and the thing is, yeah, go on.
Yeah. So this nice fella comes off, misses his spot, lands on the forearm, breaks the forearm. House doc comes over and says, "Yeah, that fucker's broken. Just period. Like, this kid ain't gonna wrestle for a long time." So the announcer gets on after all this hullabaloo. The announcer gets on and tells everybody that he can no longer defend. Now I figure they call it a no contest. Just get it out of there. Like, we'll figure this out later. But right there in the middle of the ring, fucking this guy is forfeiting this title. So you're winning by forfeiture and new champion. And of course, you can't really cheer that because it's like, oh man, this guy's gonna have doctor bills for fucking a year and a half. But
yeah.
So one thing I will say, and it's when I said that you never have new experiences in pro wrestling, I have never, ever in my entire life, I've been watching pro wrestling for quite some time, seen a title change hands by forfeiture. I've never seen that happen, and I was glad to get to see it. It's unfortunate that people are doing things that they don't fucking know what they're doing, especially when they're doing it at a charity show for no goddamn money. This dude has a broken arm at a charity show for no goddamn money. So there's that.
Wow.
With that having been said, we moved on to the rest of the show where Sam Houston and his friends, one guy who looked like a Native American. So Sam Houston, the cowboy, and the Native American, Cowboys and Indians, ha ha ha. And they come out with some other heel team that is managed by Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster of the Dungeon of Doom.
Hey.
And it was really, I was very cheerful, and I said, "Get Kevin Sullivan. I hope he does something terrible." You know, I was just.
I hope he nearly kills somebody.
Yes, something like that. You know, and he was around, and he was being a son of a bitch, and everything was working out. The match was okay. You know, for dealing with some older guys, it was all right. And then there was a 4-way tag match involving a bunch of cats that I'd never heard of, and Kikutaro, if you know Kikutaro.
I love
Kikutaro is the one guy who has managed to be the most outlandish comedy type professional wrestler while never letting on that he is faking it, because he wears the mask. There's no smiling. It's just, I've never been able to root for someone kicking someone in the nuts until I saw Kikutaro. So he's a genius. He does some great work. If you don't like funny wrestling,
he's been around
for quite some time.
Too.
I've been familiar with him for quite a while, and now he's kind of touring around because there's, you know, the indie promotions will pay for him, and that's cool. I'm very excited to see that. So there was that, and then there was a battle royal, and then they had a very nice thing for all the wrestlers that had passed away in the last year. I didn't know Lance Russell had passed away, and no,
really?
I didn't know that.
What?
And so
I didn't know that.
I felt really out of the loop on that, so I was ashamed. But then they did a very nice thing for Bruno Sammartino and a very nice thing for Bobby Heenan, and there was some tears. So you know, so everybody was a bunch of bitches, but you know,
and it was, real quick, I think we're gonna go longer, so don't even worry.
And it was a really nice one, so that was real special.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, I had to get the hell out of town. So, because I couldn't get the necessary time off for the rest of the convention, I was really bummed out about that. But it's a really good cause. They do a lot of great things. But right after the show, I ran down. I'm fucking starved. I haven't eaten all day. I go down, and there's a guy that I used to know called the Human Tornado.
Yeah.
And I saw the Human Tornado,
Yes.
and Tornado's just fucking sucking on his weed pen right in the middle of a casino, just in front of God and everybody. You know, just letting it go. And I walk up to him and I'm like, "Hey man, you know, how you doing?" He's like, "You know, what's up?" You know, I don't think he remembered me. Don't give a shit, but it was nice to see him. I walk past him. The only real restaurant that you can really eat at is a TGI Fridays in the Gold Coast, because, you know, everything else is awful. But in any event, so I get over there, and the whole fucking bar at TGI Fridays is just full of old wrestlers being rowdy and pounding on the bars. Like, God damn it. I look over, and at the corner of my eye, I see Gerald Briscoe. And I said, "Holy smoke." And I look over, and I see Tony Gurria. And I said, "Holy smoke." Wow. And then come around the front of the building, J.J. Dillon comes up like, "What is going on?" And I was suddenly excited. Like, holy smoke. I'd never seen all these people, you know, all together before. And this was really wild. And it takes me like half an hour to get into this restaurant, because all the tables are full. So the one kid finally comes around. He says, "Sir, I can take you in this side." He says, "Do you mind sitting in the bar?" Now, mind you, all the wrestlers are sitting in the bar. It's like, of course I'll sit in the fucking bar. Are you crazy? Now, he doesn't know that because he's just working. And he brings me around the corner, and he says, "I'm so sorry about this. We're a little more, you know, busy than usual." And he runs me right into Kevin Sullivan. I bumped chest with Kevin. Now, there's a bit of a height difference between myself and Kevin Sullivan. I won't elaborate, but he runs me right into Kevin Sullivan. Now, part of me wants to say, "Taskmaster," you know, and all that stuff. And, you know, I mean, because I was starting to trip over. So like, this is fucking wild. And now, mind you, to this kid, he run me into some old man. But like, it's special. So then he finds me a table, and I see, I don't know if you're familiar with a wrestler from WCW. Her name was Bambi. I can't remember her real name. But Bambi standing around, you know, drinking beers, and a bunch of lady wrestlers hanging around. And I'm ordering my meal, and before my meal gets there, Rob Van Dam is standing right next to me. It's like, whoa! And he reeks of weed. Oh my gosh! And I mean, he was having a good time. He's like, "What's up?" You know, like he does.
Dude, that dude can't wrestle without him being hot.
You know, I am convinced that that's what keeps the wrestling business on track, is Rob Van Dam's highness. So then I think it was Bambi that put him in a headlock, and he gives her the atomic drop right in the middle of a fucking crowded restaurant. And the place like shakes. And the people behind the bar are terrified. And I'm just sitting there like, this is fucking great. So I'm sitting there doing all this shit. And I finished my meal, and they're scrambling around because they're trying to keep up with all these fucking wrestlers who are yelling and talking about shit, and it's really quite stupendous, and I thought it was great. Anyway, I had to get out of town, so I ran upstairs, got everything I didn't need, loaded back in the car, and then I went to bed. Of course, I couldn't go to bed till like 3 o'clock in the morning because they put me on the third floor, which is right near, and they put me right near, I guess, the back door to one of the maintenance rooms. So I hear this fucking Mexican music until like 3 o'clock in the morning, dun, 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 and dudes cursing at each other in Spanish. It's like, I gotta get up and leave, So,
all right.
So
do you know it was cursing or it was just
no? It was definitely an argument. No, I heard some pinches, some chingo, and blah, 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 and all that. So I was like, oh, that's an argument. So I finally zonk out, and I wake up. I figured I want to get up at 8. I wake up at 7:40, and I can't sleep anymore. It's like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So I get everything all, because it's so dry, and I get everything set up. I pack the bags. I check out of the room. I go run things in the car. It's like, I got to get something to eat really quick because, it's a long drive back to California. So, and I'm pissed off, like, fuck, I got to get out of here. And I'm going through the casino and I'm just going to go eat at the buffet. And I'm walking down the buffet. And I'm just wearing like fucking pajamas. Like I am giving no goddams, no fucks, no nothing. And I walk around the corner and I run right into fucking Baron von Raschke.
Wow.
And I, now mind you, I'm still a little sleepy and I can't fucking believe this. Like, now mind you, to most people, that's James Raschke, some retired fucking school teacher. To me, I mean, that's Baron with the claw and the manager of the powers of pain and all these things. And I wanted to kneel before him and say, my Baron. But he was with his wife and he kind of, I guess his legs are going bad. So he kind of had a limp going on and I didn't want to bother him. But it was just, my heart was going, I was in full blown, like Mark III mode. It was ridiculous. And then I went into the Gold Coast buffet, and for $8.95, I had the worst goddamn breakfast I'd ever had in my life. Absolutely horrible, terrible, disgusting. I said, fuck this, I'll get some fruit. I went over to the fruit. The fruit had stickers on it that said, for display only. And I said, fuck this place. And I got the hell out of there, and I drove home. And the whole time home, I said, I saw fucking Baron von Raschke. And that was the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion of 2018. And I plan to do it again and again for the rest of my life.
Well, amazing story.
And that brings me to another thing. There was a panel there hosted by, I can't remember the fellow's name, and I feel like a dick that I don't have it in front of me. But they were having a panel because it's like a convention. So they have these like discussion panels, and one of them's a comedy show. But this one, the topic was, is pro wrestling its own worst enemy? And when they announced that in the ring, I said, yes! And whoever was in the ring, like, kind of like was shocked by that. Like, oh, goddamn, they're talking back. And I didn't get to stay for that. So I hope we get to explore that on our program here over the next coming weeks about pro wrestling being its own worst enemy, because there is something in there. There's a joke in there, but there's a lesson to be learned there. But that was my experience.
We can make it a series. Who knows? So that took like an entire 30 minutes. So we're just gonna keep it as long as we need, because I have nothing to do anyways. I guess you wanted me to talk about my experience.
Tell me about your experience, because that's something that's going to be a theme on this show, is your journey as a professional wrestler. You are how many matches into your career?
I am about
4 matches in. Now, when's your next match?
My next match is either June 9th and June. I'm trying to think. It's June 5th and June 9th. I'm probably going to be my next two matches.
Okay, back to back. That's good. That'll give you an opportunity to learn from the mistakes you're going to make on the 5th.
Yeah. So
I buried you before the match even started. Amazing.
Yep. So basically, June 5th is at my home promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And June 9th is going to be at the Miami promotion. And the Miami promotion is actually, my Miami promotion is an independent promotion, but it does have a TV deal. It has an international TV deal, and I think it was like Santo Domingo, Puerto Rico, I don't know, Haiti. I don't know.
What you're
and they have
telling me
local.
is that you could be a real big star in a bunch of third and fourth world starving countries.
Yes.
Dude,
Yes,
let me tell you, it worked out real good for the Bee Gees. You should pursue that.
Dude, I know, man. Like,
as long as you're willing to use razor blades and set yourself on fire, you could be a star for like $10,000 a year.
Dude, man, I could be the fucking new. I could be the fuck. How do I forget a guy like that's name? Abdullah the Busher. I can be the new guy. I can literally have 6 ingrained scars in the forehead of my skull.
For sure.
But for the fame and legendary of just me cutting myself.
Yeah, you could be the new Necro Butcher.
Yes. Fuck, man. My favorite match of him was against Joe, CZW. It was IWA or CZW, and Joe just beat the living. He just shot on him. He just beat the fuck out of him. It was funny. But anyways, I guess. So exactly, what do you want me? I guess to elaborate on my.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, I gotta know this. What brings you here? What was the catalyst? When did you say, you see this fucking shit? I want to do that. When did you decide that?
My thing. All right. So. Okay. So basically, when I was a little small child, and I still am,
I'm glad you recognize that on the face. Yes.
When I was a small child, I used to hang a lot because my mother was still in college. Not in college, but she was pursuing a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I would always basically live at my grandmother's house, and her and I think I consider him my third grandpa, but he is just another dude. I don't know. I think because my mom's father, I'm not going to get into it, but basically my second grandpa was a big fan of AAA. He loved Mexican wrestling, and my grandma loved Eddie Guerrero. So she had 3 tapes: Vengeance 2003, SummerSlam 2006, and I think I'm pretty sure WrestleMania XX or something like that. And those are the 3 tapes that were literally my entire childhood. Those 3 tapes, every single time, I would request those 3 tapes to be played. At that time, that was the only wrestling I knew. Because it was... the moment... I can tell you the moment that got me to be like, this is my favorite thing. It's not the moment that I decided I want to be a professional wrestler, but it was the moment that made me become a fan. And it was the moment that made me intrigued to professional wrestling was Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. And Benoit had Eddie Guerrero in the crossface. And it was just this beautiful shot of the ref being down, Eddie tapping out to the crossface, and Benoit just locking it in like it's no one's business. And that specific shot just got me hooked. And for a long time, I didn't know that there was other wrestling besides this. I thought it was just those 3 tapes. That's it. I would only get to see wrestling at my grandma's. And one day I was flipping through the channels. I was tired of watching SpongeBob, tired of watching, Billy and Mandy, and I see on True TV, Superstars, 2000 to 2009, I think, or Undertaker was on that shit every week. Fucking Rey Mysterio and I don't fucking know. Edge was one of the dudes that was on there. I finally found, whoa, there's wrestling on my fucking TV. Holy shit. So I watched that for every single week. Every single fucking week. I even remember Saturday Morning Slam. Looking back, that was the worst shit I've ever watched in my life.
I don't know, man. I lived through 90s WWF, so I insist that there is worse.
And I don't think there was punching. Punching was not allowed because it was on 4Kids. Punching was not allowed. You could not punch on Saturday Morning Slam. Great rules. But that was almost the start. But the thing I can't really pinpoint, but the thing that got me so committed to the point where I was like, I need to do this. Most likely because at every other sport, basketball, I fucking hated it. I was the shortest kid on the team. I was like 5'2". That lucky 3-pointer that nobody passed to unless they knew they were fucked.
That only happens on the Disney Channel anyway.
Yeah, my dad. His life is baseball. He gave up college for baseball. He was about to be signed to the Boston Red Sox for baseball. Then guess who the fuck was born? Me. That crushed that shit. So he, kind of forced his dream on me, and I played baseball for almost half of my life. And I was just one day I was training. I was like, I don't like to do this. I don't know why the fuck I'm doing this.
Never mind, no one comes to see baseball anymore.
Yeah, anymore. But at the time, it was pretty good. And I was just like, I'm not happy. I don't want to play baseball. So I tried hockey for like a week. Fucking hated it. I've almost tried every sport. Every sport you can think of, I've tried. And nothing really intrigued me like professional wrestling did. Granted, everyone in my family is either a boxer, baseball player, or just on drugs. But we're not going to
see. You know what? That makes you ideal for the wrestling business. The drugs and the hitting in the head and the grandstanding. That's professional wrestling in a nutshell.
And like the funny thing is, I didn't recognize that my family was so fucking crazy. Because I thought everyone was, when you're growing up in a certain environment, you think that environment is normal.
Because it is.
That's not it's normal to me, and that was not the fucking case. Seeing my drunk great uncle at the front of the porch at my aunt's house, at my great aunt's house, so it was normal. I didn't know he smelled like booze, and I was like, oh, it's just him, So, but the funny thing is, I don't know exactly when I made that decision, but when I made it incoherently, when I made that decision, it stuck with me because I've always wanted to be a wrestler, but I never really said that I wanted to be a wrestler. If that makes sense.
No, I understand that. It's a subconscious decision.
It's and it was really just I'm gonna fucking try this. It was one of those moments. It wasn't really I want to be a wrestler. I always had that in the back of my head. For my, Spider-Man was a big thing for me. Like I dressed up like Spider-Man for 7 of my Halloween. So I one of those days, on my birthday, my dad got me a homemade Spider-Man wrestling Rey Mysterio mask. If that makes any sense, and that shit was the coolest shit to me, and I wanted to be fucking Rey Mysterio because of that mask. And eventually I got a little older. And one day at my mom's job, I was looking on her phone and I found, you know what? I'll just say the promotion. I believe in wrestling. Do you want to be a wrestler? Call this, and this. We're in Orlando, Florida. Wait, I live in Orlando, Florida. I want to be a wrestler. Mom, you should totally, call this.
Mom, there's some people who need money. Can I give it to them?
Yeah. And thinking about it now, it's exactly what you said. But the funny thing is, for me, it was like I get to fulfill my dream. So it's really weird perspectives. And my mom was like, it's 18 and up, right? And I'm like, oh no, but just try. Come on, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. So my mom talked to him, explained I was 14 years old, and I wrote a 2-page long I don't even fucking know. It was a fucking biography not a biography, but a fucking novel on why the fuck I wanted to be a wrestler. And they looked at it. I don't think they looked at it. I just wanted to. I just think they wanted a reassurance to my mom. Oh, they want to know why. I don't know if that makes any sense. The chat's saying, "What the fuck is he talking about?" I know I suck at talking. Thanks.
We'll work on that. We'll get your promo up. Don't worry.
Eventually, I was accepted. My first day was private classes with a man by the name of Jason Rance. And now, this is where it gets interesting because a 14-year-old me finally stepping in a professional wrestling ring. Wow. And I was scared shitless. I almost shit my pants when I came in the ring. Especially, well, first I got a look at how it was, and then the second day I actually started training. But what is pretty funny is the man that I talked about on the first episode with this guy named Devin O'Neill. Sammy Callahan was there. He was training, and I didn't know who he was. I thought he was fucking Rhino because that's what he looked like. But eventually, I got to training. Typical stuff: hammer locks, lockups, all the whole shebang of what you need to know. And it was good. It was good. I kept coming back once a week for about 2 weeks until I was subjected to normal classes because I was only doing private classes. So it was just me and him. And I met my best friend out of those classes, and now he's one of the dudes I talk to almost every day. But it was really interesting. I can't really pinpoint the experience of what I was feeling in those, I guess, first classes. It was about three things. One, holy fuck, this is awesome. Two, I don't know what I'm doing. Three, I'm scared. So you can kind of guess my thought process, Kaos.
Sure.
Eventually, 3 months later, I had my first ever practice match with my best friend, and that was garbage. Looking back, it was probably the most shittiest shit I've ever watched in my life. I don't know if you know the YouTube channel World Famous Flea Market.
No.
They basically make fun of bad wrestling.
That must be very content rich then.
Oh my god, they have like 200,000 subscribers, something like that. It's funny as hell. But it deserves to be on there. But I guess the funny thing is for that practice match, Ricardo Rodriguez, Teddy Hart, and who the fuck else was there? Scott Hall were all there watching my first match. Mm-hmm. And
don't worry, Scott Hall wasn't paying any attention.
I know. I know. But I guess basically they critiqued the match, for your level it was great. And it was like, yeah, blah, yada, yada, yada. And then promos straight after. And at this point, I was a CM Punk mark, like everyone at that point. Like every 12 to 15-year-old.
I say he never did. He never did anything for me. Anything with a Pepsi logo, I immediately ignore it.
And I wanted to see how I wanted to be the best in the world. Blah blah blah. I actually have that promo on recording, which is pretty funny. But basically, from that point on, I knew I'm going to make something out of this. I need to make something out of this. I didn't know, but I knew I wanted it. I knew I wanted it real bad. And things happened. Drama just started. It was really bad. And, and the funny thing, I had nothing to do with it. I had no idea that drama was even going. But there was this, every time I came, there was this just overwhelmingly this like blanket of dread in the room. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like we were just going through the motions, and I didn't really feel like I was progressing and learning at all. And like I said earlier, my best friend is very wealthy. In fact, extremely wealthy. He got the opportunity to check out this new promotion that's coming up in Orlando at the time, and said, hey, you should probably check this out. You know, they got all the cool indie stars coming and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I made it over there, and I checked it out. I really liked it. I thought it was, at the time, better than what I was already getting because of the overwhelming amount of dread that was happening, and it was affecting my training. And at this point, and still now, I don't want to get into any of the bullshit. I just want to learn how to wrestle, and I want to learn how to perfect it. And that was not being given to me. In fact, one of the trainers, I'm not going to mention, I guess he was on the phone, and he was like, what? All right, I'll be right there. And it was about the drama. I had no idea about any of this. He just walked out, middle of training, just walked away. And it was just 4 students. Just, what the fuck just happened? Like, he just walked away. And we never saw him again for about an hour. And another trainer came in, hey, the trainer left. I'll be training for you for like the next 30 minutes because that's all the time we had. Just thinking of it now, what a fucking situation to be in. But my ignorant ass, had no idea about anything. So eventually, my this supposed trainer, he gets word that I guess I'm starting to train at this other promotion. And he finds out that my best friend, who is also training with him, is at this other promotion training as well. And I guess he has this whole territorial thing where if you're training at, I was told it's loyalty from a couple people. I was told that it's just him. I don't know. But he found a big offense to me and him training over there. And recently I was told that he felt that this dude, the guy I'm training under now, stole us from him. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what your opinions on that.
My opinion is that if this man is not paying you, you are not indebted to him in any way. That's why we call it professional wrestling. You're in this to make a profession from it.
Yeah, and he got really offended. And he told us that he didn't need us anymore, and that, we can train with him. He doesn't care. He gave up, whatever.
What a fucking girlfriend thing to do. That's
yeah.
You went and took your money and put it into him, and how dare you? And I did all these things for you, and the fact remains, how long did you train with him?
I trained for him about 1 year.
You trained for about a year, and you are not making any money doing this.
Nope, just training.
He has failed. You owe him nothing. And now we're getting close to the hour mark, so I think we're going to have to pick this up on the next edition of the Independent Podcast. What do you think there, Robert?
Well, I think it's a very, very – this was a very interesting episode. This was very interesting.
It was, quite. So for all of us here, we hope to, you join us for the next episode. I'm Yell Chaos. You can find me at Twitter at Yell Chaos, YELLKAOS. We hope to talk to you soon. Robert, say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, stream. I'll see you.